Let me tell you what everyone got wrong about NVIDIA's biggest announcement at GTC this week. So if you don't know what GTC is, so GTC is basically NVIDIA's developer conference. But during the conference, the CEO did not just talk about faster GPUs. He said something way bigger. He said that we've hit an agent inflection point, not chatbots, not better models. We are way past that point now. Right now, everyone is all about agents. AI that doesn't just respond but actually does things. And buried in that announcement, almost like NVIDIA didn't really want like a lot of attention on that, but then looks like it's gained a lot of attention regardless, was something called NemoClaw, right? This, I think, might be the piece that actually decides whether AI agents actually work in real world or they completely fail. Over the past few weeks, even on this channel, I've done lots of tutorials on AI agents. Everyone is really excited about AI agents, but what actually happens when you let them loose inside your company, right? That's what I'm going to be breaking down today, and that's what I'll be sort of like talking about with regards to what NemoClaw really is for. So let me first talk about how AI agents actually work, right? So with AI agents, like you give them a goal, then they decide what to do. So they can take action on your behalf and they can look at the results and then they can repeat that loop, right? It sounds very simple on paper. And I mean, if you're a programmer, this might also sound simple to you until you actually realize that what taking an action actually means, right? It means that you are giving this AI agent access to read your files, write your files, call APIs, update databases, send messages on your behalf, right? So now combine that with one uncomfortable truth. AI models are not predictable. You can't really predict what the AI is going to do next, right? They hallucinate, they can be manipulated, they can be tricked. And there's even a whole category of attacks right now called prompt injection. And what prompt injection really means is that this is where someone actually tries to hide instructions in data that the agent reads. And then suddenly the agent starts doing things it was never supposed to do. So just imagine that on a large scale. Imagine you've deployed these AI agents on a large scale in your company, right? You have multiple agents running 24/7, touching customer data, making decisions in real time, and people have injected a wrong script in there. Just imagine what will happen, right? And at that point, when that happens, the question is no longer, can we build agents? Are they fascinating? Can they do this? Can they do that? It becomes more of an issue of trust, right? It becomes more of, can we trust these agents that we've actually deployed into our production systems? So that's a problem that NemoClaw is actually trying to solve. And so that is why NVIDIA created NemoClaw. Okay. So before we actually get into NemoClaw, I want to talk a bit about what is actually built on, right? Because NemoClaw didn't just come out of nowhere and it's built on top of OpenClaw. And if you've been following my channel for a while, then you know that OpenClaw is one of the fastest growing open source AI agent frameworks right now, right? If you even go on Google Trends, for instance, it'll tell you like OpenClaw is still trending. It's been trending for months now. But if you don't know what OpenClaw is, just think of it like the brain of an AI agent system. So what OpenClaw does is that it handles reasoning, meaning that it can actually decide what to do next. It handles tools, so it can actually interact with APIs, files, browsers. It handles memory, so it can actually keep track of context. It handles multi-agent workflows, that is like agents working together. And also to be clear here, OpenClaw is very powerful. In fact, so powerful because you've given it so much access to your system. But the problem is OpenClaw has a problem. It was built for experimentation. I mean, like people are using it in production now. But then like, I think before you use it in production, you need to do a lot of testing, right? So even if you go to the developer community, people are pretty much honest about it. People talk about the fact that sometimes it breaks, it changes fast, there's no strong safety layer underneath it. And most importantly, it also gives AI agents a lot of access without strong control. Which I mean, it's fine. It's fine if you are doing this in like staging, if you are building a demo and everything. But it's not actually fine when you're running real business, right? If you're running a real business, then you want to put a lot of thought into that. So that gap between powerful and safe is exactly where NemoClaw comes in. The fact that you want to use OpenClaw because it's so powerful, but you also want to make sure that you're using it in a safe way because this touches other parts of your business. So let me now talk about what NemoClaw actually is about. Let me just simplify this based on my research and based on what I've seen online and Reddit and some other communities. So NemoClaw is not just another AI tool, it's more so like a stack, right? So it's like 3 layers working together, with the first layer being OpenClaw, which we all already know about. And so that's like your AI agent engine. And then the second layer is Nemotron, which is basically NVIDIA's own models powering the intelligence. And then the most important layer, which is OpenShell. So this is where things actually get interesting. This is the parts that basically solves the problem. Okay, so OpenShell is basically a security runtime for AI agents. So instead of letting your AI agents run freely, it sort of puts it inside a controlled environment. So just think of it like a sandbox. Okay, so instead of like giving OpenClaw everything it needs access to, you're putting it in a sandbox. So everything the agent tries to do, it gets checked, right? So if let's say you have instructed OpenClaw to do something on Google and it's calling APIs, it's gonna get checked. If it's trying to access a database, it's gonna get checked. If it tries to send data somewhere, it's gonna get checked, right? So just think of it like you are trying to contain OpenClaw so that even though it's powerful, there's still some guardrails in place, right? So there's a policy engine that is sitting in between the agents and the real world. And those policies are extremely granular. So you can literally say things like, this agent can only call this exact endpoint and nothing else. And I think that's good. It's good to have all these guardrails in place, right? And on top of that, secrets like API keys are never stored directly where the agent can actually read them. And you know that this was one big problem with OpenClaw, and they are just injected at runtime. So I think this is actually cool, especially for production systems. So even if the agent is compromised, it can't just leak everything. It can't just take your APIs and give it to like the intruder or the attacker, right? So this is the missing layer. OpenClaw gives you a lot of power, but then OpenShell gives you some control, right? So it gives you that confidence and that trust you need to sort of like deploy this in a production environment. So NemoClaw is packaged in a way to make installation a lot more smoother. Now let's talk a bit about something that matters even more, guardrails, okay? Because controlling access is one thing, but then controlling behavior is also another thing, right? So you can say that, you know what, you can only access this API, but you need to also control how OpenClaw behaves, right? So NemoClaw uses something called NeMo Guardrails, and instead of one big system, it actually breaks things into smaller specialized checks, right? So 3 main ones: content safety, making sure that the AI agent doesn't produce harmful or inappropriate content, and also topic control, right? Meaning that keeping the AI agent focused on what it's supposed to do. This one is really huge. Jailbreak detection. This is specifically designed to catch manipulation attempts as well. So when, for instance, when someone tries to trick your agents, this system is actively looking for that particular pattern. And here's why this matters, okay? These guardrails, like, they run really fast, and we're talking about like sub-second latency. So they are pretty fast, I mean, for what they are designed to do. So which means that you can actually use them in real systems and not just demos, because they can make decisions in real time because they are super fast. You don't have to wait like around for like a minute before a decision is made, right? So now let me talk a bit about what you can actually build with it. So what does this actually enable in real world? Okay, so first of all, I think a very good use case for this would be customer support agents. Customer support and customer experience has been one of the top use cases for AI agents anyways. So think of AI agents that can answer questions, pull order data, take actions, but without leaking sensitive info or going off script. Another second use case I can think about is internal company assistance as well. So just think of like AI agents that can basically set internal docs for you, summarize contracts, help employees, but only within the permissions they are supposed to have. Another use case I can think about right now is AI engineering agents. So this is really a big one. Okay? Agents that can actually write code, that can run tests, maybe even deploy at some point as well. Of course, you need to have a human in the loop. Yeah, because without guardrails, that can be very risky. So with something like NemoClaw, you can actually start putting boundaries around it. And then you have things like research agents as well that are basically querying databases, generating reports, pulling insights. I mean, the common thread across all these is simple. You want agents to be useful, and you want them to be useful in a safe way, in a way that you can actually trust that they're going to give you the outputs that you actually need. But you also need them to be controlled as well. And that's the balance I believe NemoClaw is trying to solve. And I think it's basically a good problem to solve, to be honest. Now, let me talk about the real limitations. And these limitations are based off what I've seen on Reddit, okay? I'm sure that as the weeks progress, like a lot of people will provide more limitations as well. But let's be real about this for a second. This is not perfect. There's still gaps. It's still early days. I think one of the biggest ones I've seen is the fact that people are saying things like there's no strong audit trail. Right now, NemoClaw is very good at controlling access, but it's actually also not great at showing exactly what the AI agent did step by step. Okay, so if you want to actually see what's happening behind the scenes, then it might not give you that detailed view you need from an audit perspective, right? And for enterprises, that's actually a big deal. Now, the second thing as well is the fact that it's early. I mean, they just recently announced it, right? So there might still be bugs. Setup might be a bit complex, even though it's packaged and should be easy. And the third one has to do with like guardrails, and guardrails are not foolproof, right? They are trained on known attacks. So new ones would always show up. I mean, we're in the AI world. The AI world brings like new problems, new attacks, right? And so these ones are not solved for, and it's going to be an ongoing battle, right? So yeah, now that I've talked about all that, let me talk about why I think this actually matters and why it matters now. Okay, let's look at it with like from a bigger lens, right? This is a bigger picture. For the past year, AI has been about capability, right? It's been all about like the models. Claude, Opus 4.6, Sonnet 4.5, all these like better models, better outputs. And now we are actually entering a different phase this year. You're entering a phase of control, because building AI agents is a lot more easier now. So it's not really about the models, it's more about how you are able to run them safely. That's the hard part, and that's a lot of challenges like enterprises are facing right now. So that's exactly where NemoClaw fits in. So I'd say that maybe NemoClaw might not be the most exciting announcement out of GTC. It might not go viral. I think it might go viral because of OpenClaw, but it might also end up being one of the most important ones, especially since we are in the agentic or AI agent world right now, because it answers the question everyone is about to face. Can we actually trust these AI agents to operate on their own? Can we actually leave them to do things on their own? I know like people on social media are creating all sort of like viral posts about they leaving their AI agents on their own. But I mean, OpenClaw gave us powerful agents. I know that for sure. But then like one thing we should notice that NemoClaw is actually trying to make them usable in the real world, right? And whether that works or not is something we are going to find out in the coming week. If you want, I've just been thinking about it. I really want to try this hands-on. So if you want, in the next video, I'll probably go hands-on, real setup, real configs, and see where things actually break. So if you would want to see that kind of setup as well, let me know in the comment section below, and I would do that as well. If you haven't watched my video on OpenClaw, I would recommend that you watch my video on like setting up OpenClaw on AWS. I've also done a video on comparing OpenClaw with Cloud Code as well. So if you're interested in watching that, I'm going to leave that on the screen. And then finally, if you're also interested in getting my own perspective on OpenClaw, the hype, I give an honest review on the hype versus what's real. You'd also want to watch my video. I'm going to leave all these videos on the screen so that you can check them out. If you're not subscribed to my channel, do so as well. As usual, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.